Welcome to Rank 'em Up, where I take a movie series or game series and rank them from worst to best. But before I start, I just have to mention, this mask is terrible. I mean, the molding looks nice, but there's no back to it. It's just hair. I bought this when I was a kid, and as I've mentioned before, I was an idiot as a child. But hey, look at them. It lights up. Woo! It's a piece of crap. But yeah, let's get to the actual meat of this video, and that's of course ranking the Halloween series. Now, this list is not going to have any ground rules due to the fact that it's a pretty cut and dry list. Also, there is only 10 movies in this series currently. So, sweet, top 10. Quick and sweet. Let's go. Halloween Resurrection. Okay, so what is there to say about this? Let's see. It kills off the main series heroine in the first 10 minutes. It turns the movie into a stock horror movie with the quality of something on sci-fi, minus the schlock, so it takes itself seriously. Ugh. Also, Eminem here gets defeated with Kung Fu by Busta Rhymes, and it has a shitty open ending. Yeah, this is the movie that pretty much caused the series to demand a reboot. It's that bad. Steer clear. Not even worth a watch, even for a laugh. Halloween 5. I kind of have the same complaints here as with Resurrection, but at least this movie tried. It has good acting and not a terrible premise. But what kills this film is its execution. Seriously, it could have worked, but damn it was something wrong. Pacing, direction, motivation, it all felt off. It's worth watching if you're going through the whole series, but look at it as just a link in the fence, nothing more. All in all, a terrible, terrible follow-up to Halloween 4. Halloween Remake 2. Look, I respect the hell out of Rob Zombie. I love his music. But damn it, he should have stopped after 1. This movie literally starts off with a pointless dream sequence, but just to mess with the audience. And what we get for the rest of the film is a useless continuation of an open and shut case. Not only that, but this film actually ruins the first one in a way, by showing how the characters end up. It's not really worth your time, but if you have to watch it, I would recommend lots and lots of alcohol. Halloween 6. This movie is a piece of shit, one of the worst horror films ever. Well, that was until the producer's cut came out. Originally, this movie was meant to divulge the audience into the origins of why Michael does what he does. Sure, it ruins the mysticism, but in all honesty, I was curious. Well, thanks to poor reception from test screen audiences and the tragic passing of one of the main actors, the filmmakers quickly cut out parts of the film and tried to salvage it. Sadly, this only made it worse, abruptly ending the past story arcs and not really focusing on the issues that they brought up in the past 2 films. But recently, the original cut was finally released, and I must say, it's not bad. It really fleshes out the whole story, and really represents what they were going for. Sure, it takes cues from the third movie involving a cult, but in all honesty, it works in a weird way and added a whole new layer to the series. It was meant as a stepping stone to something more, but sadly, since it went nowhere, it feels incomplete. I actually recommend this somewhat for curiosity's sake, but only if you watch the producer's cut. The original cut is just terrible. Halloween 3. Now here's an odd one. This movie literally has nothing to do with Michael Myers. The idea was to make the Halloween franchise into an anthology series, of different stories. This did not work out, however, since moviegoers got pissed, since it had nothing to do with old Shatner himself. Regardless of that, this film ain't half bad. It's a film that centers around an evil corporation run by a cult leader, hell-bent on killing children with Halloween masks. I mean, it sounds zany, but that's because it is. It's a creative premise and honestly worth watching if you're a fan of schlocky 80s B-movies. Not great, but pretty good. Alright, what do we have here? A remake of the horror classic that single-handedly started the slasher genre? This thing is gonna suck. Oh wait, Rob Zombie. Alright, color me intrigued. In all honesty, this movie is not bad. In fact, it's kind of good. It pretty much rebuilds Michael Myers from the ground up, making his story far more sympathetic and far more deranged. The gore is up, and so is the intensity. The movie was made to shock the viewer and really bring them into the mind of a serial killer and its prey. Overall, the direction is solid, the acting is phenomenal, and the camera work is frantic to fit the overall mood of the personal hell Laurie is going through. It's a different take for sure on the original premise, but it's not a bad one, by any stretch of the imagination. Purists will tell you otherwise, but screw that, give it a shot. H2O. In many people's eyes, this is the real last film of the series, because it tied up everything nicely. After surviving hell 20 years ago, the series' main protagonist, Laurie Strode, has a new life and a new name, yet here comes old Michael again to fuck her shit up. What makes this film shine, other than the continuation of the original story arc, is the tension. From the outside, it looks like a poor attempt at, revitalizing the series, but in actuality, it came out good. Damn good. Fantastic camera work, great music to set the tone, a great cast of characters, where some shine more than others, but they still work. Top that off with an amazing climax and awesome resolution. You have the makings of a great ending to the original series. Halloween 4. Now here is a treat. After the failed attempt at making the series into an anthology series, the studio decided, screw it, let's do another Michael Myers film. Now, this in hindsight may look like a stupid idea, but in actuality, what we got was a damn good sequel, and an introduction to one of the most famous screen queens of our time, Danielle Harris. At a young age, it amazes me how well she did. In many ways, she carried the film. Now, don't get me wrong, Donald Pleasance was phenomenal as well, but the story revolved around her, since she was now the last remaining family member of Michael. It's pretty intense to think about. Essentially, the film is a serial killer chasing down one little girl on Halloween, and he kills everyone that gets in his way. Compound the pretty ballsy premise with respect to the source material, a pretty creepy tone, a high body count, and an amazing crazy twist. This is honestly a great horror film. It works great by itself, but sadly it is weighed down by its own string of shitty sequels. Halloween 2. Now, many probably won't agree with me on this one, but hear me out. This movie literally had the balls to actually follow up the original, and guess what? It's actually great. Merely by extending Laurie's night of hell into the early hours of the morning, and changing the main setting to a hospital, it increases the body count, dials up the gore, adds in story details that actually connects her character to Michael, and even flips the tone from a slow burn to a fast-paced race against time. And it works extremely well as a sequel. All in all, this movie didn't have to be made, but since it was, it's great to see that not only did it not ruin the original, but instead made Michael Myers a household name. In fact, come to think of it, out of all the revisions and retcons the whole series has had over the years, this is the only film, other than the original, that hasn't been deleted out of the series. That should speak volumes to how good it is. I mean, I can't even listen to the song Mr. Sandman anymore without thinking of this movie.
Yes!
Halloween. Was there ever any doubt? I mean, seriously, John Carpenter's classic reinvented the horror genre and pretty much molded its future in the 80s. Alright, let's go down the list. An amazing synth soundtrack composed by Carpenter himself, masterful use of lighting and shot composition, perfect pacing for non-stop tension, and a great simplistic story. So simplistic that in this film, we have no idea what Michael's name is, or even what his motives are. Now that is even more terrifying, not knowing what's coming after you, or why. Fantastic characters and dialogue meant to push along the plot as well as flesh out Michael's victims. Amazing and believable acting thanks to such legends as Donald Pleasance and Jamie Lee Curtis. Also, did I mention the use of lighting and shot composition? This film is a yearly tradition for many, and for good reason. There are a total of 9 other attempts at capturing the greatness of this film, and they've all fallen short. While all the other films on this list can be enjoyed specifically by horror fans, this is the only film out of the bunch that I can recommend to everyone.
You mean everyone? Everyone!
Film aficionados and horror fans alike. Simply a masterpiece of filmmaking, and this movie turned John Carpenter from an indie director to a film legend. Well, that's the list. And yeah, the Halloween series is a fantastic series, and I honestly just love it to death. I understand there's bad movies in it, clearly, but in my honest opinion, the quality of the good ones really outweigh the quantity of the bad ones. And I owe a lot to Halloween. I mean, after I watched it, I just wanted to watch more of John Carpenter's films. I mean, like They Live, Assault on Precinct 13, Escape from New York. I freaking love his movies, and this was the first one of his that I watched. So I owe a lot to this movie. Yeah. It's really weird to think that the Halloween series is finally done. Except it's not. They're making another Halloween movie in 2017. This is a terrible idea, and why the fuck are they doing this? And that's exactly what I would be thinking if it wasn't for the fact that John Carpenter is involved. He's the executive producer. Not to mention, the guy who played Michael Myers in the first movie, not Nick Castle, who actually walked around, the mask, as the Shape, but the guy the guy whose face you see when they, unmask him, Tony Moran, is playing Michael Myers in the new movie. So, yeah, color me interested, because that's just really weird to see another movie coming out, especially since this is the 10th movie with Michael Myers in it. Yes, I know I mentioned 10 before, but thankfully Halloween 3 doesn't really count in the series because whatever. But we're getting another Halloween sequel, and I'm actually excited due to the fact that we have some old alumni, especially the director, working on it. So, usually my interest would be fucking low, I wouldn't care. But my expectations right now are at least lukewarm, because John Carpenter, holy shit. So yeah, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later.